Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming to this press conference on short notice. The reason I asked for an opportunity for press conference is to talk about the situation where we're having miners, coal miners being laid off upon short notice. Coal, as you know, has been facing an uphill challenge now for some period of time. During my time in office, we've filed a number of lawsuits trying to address what we think is overregulation and unnecessary regulation. Coal is facing a couple things. One is we have had some unseasonably warm weather this year and in some previous years, and so the same amount of coal just hasn't been burned to provide electricity. Two, we've had a huge abundance of natural gas, and with that abundance of natural gas, we see natural gas prices going down, and as a result of that, it is competing very strongly against coal. The third, which is not related to weather or to market conditions, is the issue of rules and regulations. And we have been very diligent, as I said, in trying to address what we view as unreasonable rules and regulations. We have filed what we believe is a record number of lawsuits trying to address the situation with coal. And then also what we've tried to do about it is trying to expand markets through the coal ports, primarily on the West Coast, Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia. But when we see where coal is today and we recognize the challenges, the place I would start is every citizen in Wyoming has been a beneficiary of coal mining. When we think about education in Wyoming, education, you shouldn't talk about education with you unless you're talking about what coal does for the state of Wyoming. And so with our energy strategy, both our first one and our second one, we have tried to find ways to advance coal, which is not only being reactive in terms of lawsuits, but what we can do in terms of research and innovation. And both energy strategies have and will continue to work on those issues. But all of those things don't address what is an immediate and very personal problem for those miners who have received notice that they're being laid off today or in the future. I think as we see now, the number of miners who've applied for unemployment is well in excess of 1,000 people. That was even before today. And then with the notices that have come just recently, we see these miners, it will be even more who are going to be applying for unemployment. To the miners and to their families, they have been watching this battle. They continue to have done their very good work that provides so much to our state and so much, frankly, to the businesses in Wyoming. Because today's news is not only troubling for the individual miners, but it should be troubling for all of us in Wyoming, because your equipment dealers, your retail stores, your shopping, your hotels, your restaurants, all of them will feel the effects of miners being laid off. To the miners out there, both myself, the congressional delegation, the legislature, and the people of Wyoming have done what we think is right, trying to support the mining industry, but we understand that's of little comfort to all of you today. What I have asked, and I have with me today as agency heads, I have the head of the Wyoming Business Council, the head of our insurance department, the head of unemployment, and Jim Rose, who's in charge of the community colleges. All of these folks are going to deploy people into the communities where this is largely felt. They are going to make themselves available for services for families and individuals and information as quickly as possible. That's the immediate response. In the medium term, state and local agencies are going to provide ongoing services to provide individuals, community, and businesses with information about what assistance is available. Because it is such an immediate and personal problem, these state agencies are going to be on on expanded hours for some period of time now that are going to be open on Saturday to make sure they can answer any questions and provide any assistance that they can. So what I would like to do now is have each one of you, starting with you, Mr. Reese, stand up and give your name and what you'll be working on the next few days, if you would, and beyond that.
Thank you, Governor. Sean Reese, I'm the CEO of the Wyoming Business Council. The Business Council's role will be more in the intermediate and long-term aspect of the situation. For those businesses that the Governor mentioned who are indirectly related to mining, the service industry, the suppliers, the manufacturers, we anticipate that they will be nervous about their own business viability and wherewithal. We will be working with our Business Resource Network partners, Small Business Development Center, Manufacturing Works, Market Research Center, to deploy our services to help those businesses do a health check, understand what services are available for strengthening those businesses. In addition, we will be working on and continue to work on longer range economic development plans, primarily with the communities of Sheridan, Buffalo, Gillette, as they have partnered themselves to develop a long-term regional marketing and business recruitment effort. We will support them. We are also working in close cooperation with the School of Energy Resource, the University of Wyoming, in helping Northeast Wyoming develop an advanced carbon economy, looking at the needs for infrastructure, workforce, policy, business recruitment for longer term solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. Mr. Boss.
Tom Klaus, Insurance Commissioner with the Department of Insurance. The Insurance Department, in conjunction with Workforce Services and the Community College Commission, will have staff on site in both Douglas and Gillette to answer questions that laid off workers may have regarding insurance. Staff will be available to discuss their options with them, whether it is COBRA coverage, obtaining coverage under the Affordable Health Care Act on the exchange, or possibly even looking at a short-term plan. Insurance staff will explain these options, what some of the pros and cons would be of each of these options, and then assist them with options that they may not have considered, such as obtaining coverage through a spouse if that spouse has coverage, or possibly for younger employees under 26 to see if they could still get on their parents' coverage. So all of those options will be explained and all of their questions will be answered.
Thank you, Mr. Klaus. Director.
Governor. The Department of Workforce Services is doing a couple of things in the immediate sense in the aftermath of these layoffs. First, as we speak, we are working on locations in Gillette, in Douglas, and in Casper for people to come to access the services of not only Department of Workforce Services, but also these other agencies that are here today. As soon as we know where the locations are and we set the hours for that, which will include weekend hours, we're going to put that on our website, wyomingatwork.org, and we will also do a media release relative to that. So that is upcoming and it's in development right now. This is an attempt on our part to have a one-stop sort of venue where people who have lost their jobs now can come and find out the variety and breadth of services available to them. The department itself, Workforce Services, will, in Gillette and Douglas centers, are conducting what we call rapid response activities relative to the 2 mines outside of Gillette that have had layoffs that they've experienced today. We have Workforce Center people who will be responding to tomorrow and Saturday to Arch Coal and meeting with miners who have been affected by the layoffs, and we're hoping to establish that same sort of working relationship during the same time period with Arch Coal, and that just remains to be determined. Among the services that Workforce Services will be providing for these folks will be unemployment insurance enrollment, where they can go, how they can do that online or in person on the phone, identification of transferable skills and industry hiring. An example of that would be heavy construction. We're going to be looking for industries that their skills might transfer to. We provide counseling regarding job training opportunities and also resume preparation and interview skills. We realize that a lot of the people who are going to be displaced through these layoff actions are people who perhaps have not applied for a job in a long time. So we're there to help do that along with anything else that we can. Thanks, Governor.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Rose?
The actual approach of my agency will be to really more work closely with the community colleges that I think are extraordinarily well qualified and prepared to address the needs in their own communities. So we have folks at the Douglas campus, at the Gillette campus in Sheridan, that I've already contacted that we're working with, so that once the initial concerns are addressed, unemployment insurance and insurance concerns, the kind of initial employment triage, then our folks at those campus sites can really help people look at what are their options. And we already have programs in place, and I think one of the things the community colleges are known for is the fact that we adapt very quickly to the needs of communities. And so if there's a demand and a need for programs that need to be refined or developed, we're prepared to do that. And I know all of our colleges are really prepared and are equipped really to do a lot for each individual that may have aspirations and understanding that their careers may need to be advanced through additional training and opportunities, and we're really, I think, fully prepared and ready to do that. So
Thank you. So I thank you all for being here, and thank you for your quick response. You know, when we have a natural disaster in the state, we put together the appropriate team to respond to it. This isn't a natural disaster, but it certainly is a disaster in terms of the personal lives of those miners, and beyond that, what it's going to do in terms of those communities and the businesses it will affect. So I appreciate these directors and you know, as the Director Cox pointed out, is trying to be a rapid response team. I don't mean to suggest this is going to solve any or maybe even the major issues for these miners, but we will continue to try to work on ways to alleviate the situation for those individual miners and for the communities, because as I started out, you know, coal mining has meant so much to this state. It's meant so much to the state in terms of revenue, but it's frankly meant so much to every individual citizen in the state of Wyoming. And so when something like this happens, we certainly want to do our best to alleviate the situation. With that, I'll be happy to take questions from the press.
Governor, I'd ask you overall, if I could, sir, what's your sense of what's going to be happening the months to come along these lines? Do you hear from the companies? Is this the first of many, or what?
The question for those of you on the phone from Ben area of the AP was, what's my sense in the months coming ahead, what we're hearing from the companies. Ben, what I hear from the companies is the mild winter in particular, which is an immediate problem that's affecting all coal companies, has caused, you know, you see trains being parked, you see companies complaining about not only having not the revenue, but they're running out of physical space to even store coal because there's been so little coal used this winter. They normally look at those places where they transport coal, say a 40 or 50 day supply. The coal companies I've talked to are in excess of 100 days. So at least double the amount of available coal being stored on site. So my unfortunately my prediction is that things may get worse before they get better in terms of the coal industry because of the mild winter, because of the low cost of natural gas, and because of the ongoing problem this administration targeting coal as a commodity that has produced so many of these challenges for the industry. Okay, we got some reporters on the phone. Well, we got some, any questions from reporters on the phone?
Hello?
Yes, have we got some reporters' questions on the phone?
Yes, Governor, this is Greg Johnson at the Gillette News Record.
Yes.
Sorry if I get something that you already covered, but I had a little trouble getting in earlier. If you could say something to the people of Gillette today, what would you give them? Because they're feeling pretty down here.
Really, that's a really good question, Greg Johnson.
All right, Greg.
Could you just give him an attaboy on the back?
Okay, let me answer that. Let me answer that question, Greg. Thank you. The question from Greg was, what would I say to the people in Gillette? They're feeling pretty down today. What I would say is, one, having lived in Gillette and seeing what mining means to that community, and then in my position now, seeing what coal mining has meant to the state of Wyoming, and frankly, we're proud of the fact that what Gillette miners have provided not only to the state but to the country. I mean, they've helped fuel the country for a long period of time. My message would be one of thanks. And my message also would be that certainly the state of Wyoming is supportive of and thankful for what has occurred, and that we will continue to work, as I recently said in the release of my new energy strategy. It's time for us to double down our efforts to see that coal has a bright future. That would be my message, and then to the individual miners, my message would be, while we continue to work on that, we understand that's not going to alleviate, for those of you laid off, the immediate situation for you and your family. And certainly we're sympathetic to that. We will do all we can to alleviate that situation. But I hope, as I'm sure you will, see support from all over the state of Wyoming, and thanks for all the coal mining has meant to our state and our country.
Daily Times.
Okay, the Daily Times, I'm sorry, who was that?
This is David, sir.
David, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got two quick questions. One with the layoffs there, there's Arch Coal's mining efforts in Hannah that halted a couple of years ago, resulting in the company laying off all but a handful of employees to keep the operation technically still viable. Long term, is there anything that can be done to shore up the situation to get people back to work in Hannah?
Well, I think the situation in Hannah, and more broadly than Hannah, in the Powder River Basin, is to ensure that coal has a future, which is ensure coal has a future, which is, you know, we're continuing to work on the ports on the West Coast. We continue to work at innovation at the University of Wyoming and at the Integrated Test Center in Campbell County. And obviously, we hope that the rules and regulations that we are fighting in court now, that we're able to have success on that as a state, and that when challenging the Clean Power Plan, the regional haze, that if we're successful on that, that will also lighten the regulatory environment on the coal industry generally, and also provide a better outlook. Because one of the problems you see for coal now is because of the regulatory environment. You see major banking institutions refusing to help finance the operations of coal mine. And when you see the Department of Interior putting a moratorium on new coal leases, it certainly hurts the effort to encourage people to invest in coal mining. It certainly hurts the efforts to invest in coal ports. So these are things we fight and will continue to fight in the interest of supporting coal. But those are long-term solutions. But I think the solution for Hannah, as well as the rest of the places in Wyoming where coal is mined, is to have the robust market that will be available without unreasonable rules and regulations.
I do have one quick question off topic, if I could. I believe today was your deadline to appoint the members to the prison task force. Have you made your choices, and if so, who are they?
Come on, keep it on coal. Yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Mead. David, the answer to that is we'll let you know about that, and we'll keep the questions, one more question, other questions on coal.
Hey,
Ben Storhoff.
are you for Donald Trump?
Ben, go ahead.
No, Trump. I'm fine.
Governor, I have two questions here. When I talk to miners today, you know, one of the concerns I hear are about health insurance. What are they going to do about health insurance? What are they going to do about their pensions? Is there anything they can do on those fronts to help people?
Ben, Ben, I apologize. Go ahead and mute it, Dave. Ben, I apologize. There's just a lot of folks and interference on the phone, but I think I understood the question is what people had a lot of questions about insurance, maybe health insurance, and their pensions. I don't know if you heard earlier, the director of the insurance department is here. He is putting out his people in the communities where the miners have been laid off to answer those questions, including questions regarding the Affordable Care Act. Of course, he and his team will be trying to answer all those questions that they can. We also have here, and I don't know if you heard this, we have Dr. Rose from the Community College Commission. We have Director Cox from Unemployment, Workforce Services, and we also have Sean Reese here. But in particular, I think Director Cox and Director Glaus and their teams will be doing their best to answer those questions on insurance.
Governor, one follow-up question.
Yeah, Ben.
Follow-up question, if I might. I was speaking to the mayor today, and she spoke about trying to find opportunity in all of this and trying to perhaps industrial businesses to Gillette, given the town's, you know, there's a lot of skilled laborers who are in need of a job today. Is there anything on that front that is sort of
Yeah, go ahead and mute it there. Yeah, Ben, I think I understood your question is there's a lot of skilled labor in Gillette, and is there any opportunity to deploy those talents for other types of industry? As you know, we have been, will continue to work as part of the energy strategy on an industrial park because we see the great workforce is there and the talent that is there. But those, you know, those are longer term solutions, and for the miners who are, you know, as of today are feeling the impact, you know, that may be a long-term help to them, but I don't want to create false hope that there is going to be an industrial park opened up there in the next week. And so it's not, I suspect, much solace to those miners who lost their jobs today. Another question for reporter question?
Yeah, this is Stephanie Joyce with Wyoming Public Radio.
Yeah, Stephanie.
Yeah, Governor, I was wondering, could you speak to concerns about an exodus of population from Wyoming in light of the current situation with coal?
Yeah. Thank you, Stephanie. The question was an exodus of people from Wyoming in light of the current situation of coal. Well, obviously it is a concern. People need to be able to work and feed themselves and feed their families and have insurance. And when good jobs at the coal mine are lost and there isn't available immediate jobs that satisfy the career goals of those folks, you know, it's understandable that they may look elsewhere. And that's why we're, you know, deploying this team from Workforce Services, from the community colleges and our insurance department to try to at least provide some answers in the short term, because, you know, Stephanie, not only do we not want to lose those people and the jobs that they have, but they are, you know, an important part of those communities and what they contribute otherwise in volunteer work and making the character, great character of those communities. And so, you know, we hate to lose people from Wyoming, and in fact, as you know, we've been trying to bring back people to Wyoming through our Wyoming Grown program, and so we understand that that may happen, and it's certainly contrary to what my dreams and wishes would be for the future of Wyoming.
Just a follow-up, if I can.
Yes, Stephanie.
Do you think that enough effort has been spent, you know, in advance of today's layoffs, in advance of the current situation, diversifying Wyoming's economy, attempting to diversify Wyoming's economy?
Yes, Stephanie, as I understand the question, has enough effort been made to diversify Wyoming's economy in advance of this? Well, I would say this, you know, when I took over, you know, diversifying our economy was one of my top priorities, but I didn't want to diversify it as we were going to diversify it and substitute for what we have now. In other words, let's add to it. And diversify our economy in no way means to me that we reduce the coal industry or the mineral industry. It means that we add to it. And so we've, you know, certainly diversified through manufacturing, the technology sector, but that is not a substitute for continuing a strong coal industry. And so diversity is important. We've got to continue to diversify our economy so that we're not subject to the up and downs that we see from the mineral industry, so that we give our young people as many chances to stay in Wyoming as possible. But we never want to diversify in the sense that we want to replace an industry that's not only good for the state, but frankly, good for the country. Yeah. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Still can't, for those of you not asking questions, if you could mute your phone, we're getting a lot of interference. All right, try now. Other questions? Okay, go ahead and mute. Other questions here?
Yeah, Governor, what about the role of concerns about global warming in bringing the state to this point? I know you said that you want us, the industry is good for the state, it's good for the country, and yet the EPA and the administration here says as they impose these restrictions that they're doing it to try to essentially save the environment. How do we reconcile that? What do you say about their concerns? Do they have any merit in your view?
Well, what I say about their concerns is that if they're truly concerned about global warming, if they're truly concerned about issues like regional haze, that this is not the way to go about addressing those problems. If you're concerned about reclamation, this is not the way to go about addressing those problems. If you want to address, if those are your concerns and they're legitimate concerns, the way to do it is to invest in improving the technology, trying to find the innovation for the answers. When we look at what Department of Energy, Federal Department of Energy has spent in investing in renewable research versus fossil fuel research, there is not parity in the amount of dollars that have been spent in those two areas. And so if you tell me you have a concern about coal and oil and gas and what it does to the environment, why are we not seeing the investment in those areas that you're seeing in renewable energies? And on top of that, I would say, you know, as I said before, you know, we didn't move from the candle to the light bulb because of regulations. We've got there because of innovation. And so what the federal government should be doing, if these are legitimate concerns, is recognize that coal is the #1 producer of electricity in the world, that you can regulate all you want here in the United States, and that's still going to be the case. And by trying to shut it down here in the United States, we're relinquishing both our duty and our opportunity to lead the way in innovation and technology. And so you shut coal down in the United States, you still have, if you're concerned about global warming, you still have all these other countries burning coal. let's take the bull by the horns, provide the leadership, and invest in technology and innovation that's gonna find the answers. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with the Integrated Test Center in Campbell County. Capturing that CO2, and rather than trying to say it's a liability, let's look at it as an asset to turn it into feedstock for petrochemicals or for items such as graphene.
Sir, in terms of the assets you're deploying up there, is there any consideration about increased mental health assistance people might be affected?
We've, my chief of staff, as a matter of fact, talked to the Department of Health today. It is a legitimate concern, as, you know, it's overly broad brush, but as you see people being stressed because they're losing their jobs, and they aren't able to provide for themselves and their family, we understand that can be a situation. So I think the Department of Health is well staffed. Whether or not we send that as part of the team, that hasn't been decided yet.
Governor, it's probably hard to put it into one word, but today's announcement, I mean, if you could put it in one word, what are you feeling right now?
I'm trying to decide if this word's hyphenated or one word.
Keep it PG.
PG. I think it's a gut shot. I mean, it's, you know, we think about the state, and you know, the state can get through this situation. You know, we've prepared for it, but you know, for the, you know, I remember the last time I was at a mine, I had I rode in one of the haul trucks, and the driver of the haul truck was a lady who lived in Douglas, and she commuted up to the mine every day, and she was so proud as a single mom to be able to not only provide for her family in a meaningful way, but she was really proud of the fact that by her work she was providing indirect jobs for so many people in the state of Wyoming, that she by her work was providing affordable energy to so much of the country and helping the rest of the country. So you take that job away from her, or you take it away from any one of those miners, and that's what you lose. You lose that ability to take care of that family. You lose that ability to provide so many indirect jobs in the state of Wyoming. You lose that ability to provide low-cost electricity and all the benefits that goes with that when you start having miners lose their jobs, and you start seeing mines being under such stress that you worry about the future of coal mining. And so that's, you know, that's an individual story, but I think it paints a picture of how important coal mining is for the state and for the country and for those individual miners.
Governor Ben Storrow has one more follow-up, so.
Governor, thanks for leaving the phone. Question is, when I was talking to some today, and they were saying that made at these larger mines, or the companies, at the next step, probably other mines, under is any sort of contingent stuff that
Ben, the quality of the call is so poor. I'm afraid I can't quite understand. I don't know. Did you text David? I was wondering if he could text the question, because I
didn't understand it.
I apologize about the quality of the phone call. We just can't hear that question. So while we're waiting, any other questions here? Okay, no other questions. Ben, we will cut this off. If you wouldn't mind texting your question to David Bush here in my office, we will get you an answer to that question.
Does the state have any contingency plans for idle mines?
We don't have any contingency plans for idle mines, and that is part because with regard to reclamation and to bonding, you know, the best way to make sure those mines are not idle and to make sure that they are reclaimed is by having these coal companies continue in the business. To have a ban in mind, you know, the bonding that would be in place, hopefully recover that, but those mines are an asset. I mean, they still have great value, and so we're not anticipating there's gonna be a ban in mines. We're anticipating that the business will slow down, but will continue. Okay, thank you, everybody, and thank you all